Hello, welcome. We are very happy to be here with you during this second day of the Generation Equality Paris Forum, an unprecedented opportunity to bring forward gender equality to the world, to actually face the backlashes of democracy, because the more women we have participating, the more empowered women we have, the more equality we have, the more democracy we will have everywhere, and livelihoods will be better. We are delighted with the pledges that have been made during yesterday, and today we are very happy to present to you a session around cities in action, committing to gender equality. Action needs to happen at local level for things to change. And this is what we want to share with you today with an amazing speakers list. And I am very pleased to start with the very Asha Regner, Deputy Executive Director of UN Women, a good friend of cities, a lot of experience in government as minister. Asha, the floor is yours for 3 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really delighted to be here, and let's go ahead. I want to thank everybody, Secretary General says, all the distinguished mayors who are here, friends, excellencies. Let's start this important journey together, because that's how we see it. It's not like the end of anything. This is the start of an important and big process with the commitments and the new resources that we have. And cities are very central. That's where people live. They don't live in the Prime Minister's office. They live in cities. And we're going to discuss cities in action, committing to gender equality, organized jointly by United Cities and local government, UCLG, and UN Women. So this is an opportunity to learn about your dear mayors' different responses to claims and demands on higher levels of gender equality, and how you in your leadership can support that, not least with the concrete actions and the resources we have heard about these days. We also know, unfortunately, that the pandemic has deepened pre-existing inequalities, and they have hit women harder than men. And unfortunately, based on our projections, 47 million more women and girls are expected to be pushed into extreme poverty this year. So, and we know that although 70% of the healthcare workforce are women, women make up only 70% of the members of task force services deciding on COVID-19 responses. As we all know, women literally have saved and are still saving the lives of the rest of us in healthcare, in labs, in grocery stores, in agriculture, what have you. Many of them are also employed by municipalities, not all. But at the same time, we know that in national COVID responses packages, women have not been at all consulted or engaged as decision makers when COVID responses economic packages have been put on the table. In 24 countries, such task forces have no women members at all, in fact. Unsurprisingly also, the response has been largely gender blind, although women were harder hit. Our tracker tool tells us that only 10% of the more than 3,000 COVID-19 response measures actually address women's economic security, and only 6% address the rising unpaid care demands. And as you know, women were not even asked, they were just expected to step in and do more care work when school closed down or when elderly people got COVID in many countries. So globally, women represent 30. Yes, so we know also that women have not been engaged in these decisions as they should, and we have also counted and seen that when women have been involved in decision making in the response packages, they have more often been involved as somebody to consult with rather than decision makers as such. So we need local cities and regional governments to join generation equality, because we know that transformation starts there. And as I said, that's also where people actually live, where they identify, where they many times have their families and their jobs. We are here not today to talk about the problems, we're here to talk about the solutions and how we're going further. But I just wanted also to mention that you, who are politicians and leaders on the local level, according to my personal experience that you alluded to, thank you for that, although I was a minister on the national level, and also leaning on facts and data, we know that women in politics on the local level are quite often actually targets of harassment, threats, other kind of lack of integrity and pressure, unethical pressure, more often so than men in local politics. And we know that women therefore drop out earlier between elections because of that pressure. So that's a common task for us also to support you in your important work to do more for the citizens, and we are very aware of that. Those kinds of situations are also covered by other actions in the action coalitions in within the Generation Equality Initiative. To come back to the commitments to conclude, UCLG and UN Women are making commitments, and we have called for a global feminist municipal movement to put care at the center of the COVID-19 recovery. UCLG is also the leader of the Action Coalition on Feminist Movements and Leadership, which aims to see feminists and their organizations to be well-resourced and able to carry out their work without fearing violence that I mentioned. So that goes both for politicians and for civil society, and they often work together when we talk about women and feminist leadership. So with those words and that introduction, I would like to give the floor back to you and over to our excellent best practice mayors who are here today and who courageously and professionally lead both their cities and feminist work in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Executive Director, indeed, the generation equality process, the forum and the alliances have really inspired our municipal movement to go further in our commitments. And we think that there is a shift that we can bring to public life, to local policy making with a feminist perspective, building on the experiences of some of the champions that we are going to hear today. So United Cities and Local Governments is a very proud member of this generation equality, and is delighted to have here two of the big champions that are actually walking the talk and doing things at city level. I am delighted to have have with us Claudia Lopez Hernandez, the mayor of Bogota, the very first mayor of Bogota, and also Suad Abderrahim, mayor of Tunis, the very first mayor of Tunis. We are going to be hearing from them both. And I want to propose to you, mayors, that we start with the first round where you talk a little bit about yourselves. You have 3 minutes. We're going to be strict. And how you have experienced this leadership in COVID times. Claudia, let us start with you. You are the first women mayor of Bogota. You are known for your capacity to bring people together and to stimulate participation. You are a very resolute woman and mayor. How have you experienced these months, and what does this feminist leadership mean for you?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come along and talk to you today, and to be working with so many insightful women and so many lady mayors from across the world. I'm very pleased to be able to actually look at the challenge of the pandemic with you. So I think that hopefully we'll be able to have interesting discussions today. First of all, for Bogota, the pandemic has actually been devastating, not just in terms of public health, but also as far as unemployment and poverty is concerned as well. Our worry is that we have greater isolation, and it's going to have a huge economic cost. And we've seen poverty in Colombia multiplied by 2, and also unemployment has actually gone sky high, particularly affecting young people. Also, there's been a real challenge for citizenship as well. In a very short period of time, we've seen a real change in the way in which we were living, the way in which we interacted with one another, keeping distance and things like that. And so our culture has as well actually changed very much in Bogota. We've had to actually meet collective challenges that over 25 years we've had to actually confront this pandemic together, and we've seen changes that we didn't have for 25 years. We've had to actually deal with this conflict. We've always actually used our forces to actually overcome violence in the past and create peace. So we're used to actually bringing about transformation, and that was very useful. That experience was very useful for us to be able to navigate our way through this pandemic. And thirdly, the third challenge was actually for his public health, because we saw the number of deaths multiplied by 3, and we've seen there's been a huge effort on both healthcare, and also now vaccinations, which is required by our public health services. So we're now actually trying to ensure that we can vaccinate our population. Only 30%, however, of our population has actually had 2 vaccinations to date. On the other side, we've seen that one of our great contributions to this, because of this, one thing that we're proud of is that we are very pleased that our societal and environmental project that had us elected back in 2019 is that we are working to construct and I think thanks to the strength or the support of the UN as well, which has helped us with a lot of consultation and experts, we are trying to construct the first proper care system for a capital city in Latin America. Uruguay has an experience of that, but we have wanted to try and develop a care system for this system, for our city, where we provide social security and services able to actually reach out to women to try and relieve them of some of the terrible burden that they have on their shoulders. In Colombia and in Latin America in general, most of the work is actually informal work. Social security and the social security don't exist for these women. They're doing unpaid care work, and this is excessively burdensome for women, and they don't have much time to actually recover. So they have fewer opportunities for education, and they have less economic opportunity, and therefore they are poorer. So the flip side of that is that women are very, very poor. And this care system, I think, is actually got to liberate women. It's got to liberate them from this huge non-paid, unpaid care task, and give them time to rest, to educate themselves, to professionalize their activities, and to provide for them some economic autonomy and make sure that they can come out of poverty. So this care system that we created in Bogota has actually touched on some 8 million people. We're actually providing real, tangible services for women, so care services that is actually and helping them to have some more time for themselves and taking over for them some of the problems that they had. And we've seen this equipment functioning now throughout Bogota. We have some sites in the city, and we've got 2 mobile care sites that actually are going around the urban and the rural areas. So we want to provide these services, these care services, in the 20 localities of our city. That's really important. And the second thing I wanted to actually highlight, I don't want to take too much of your time, is that we want to make sure that that we are looking after both the young people and women. I think this is where the future sits for all cities across the world. So we're working also for young people at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for these inspiring words. You already advanced in the second round, already sharing some of your commitments. But I think it's very important how you have linked the care issue with the pandemic, and how central the issue of healthcare is going to be in our cities, and how much it has to do with local service provision. So thank you for that. We are going to come back to you, Mayor. Don't go. Let us go now to the Mayor of Tunis, Suat Abderrahmane. You were elected. Mayor after a revolution in your country, where a lot of people came out and called for more democracy, for more participation. And every time I talk with you, you emphasize how important it is to involve the communities. How have you experienced this COVID and this women leadership, which is also quite unique in Tunis? You are also the first mayor there. The floor is yours, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Amelia, Jeremy, and dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening to all of you. And I first of all like to express my sincere gratitude for United Nations Women for having brought us together today so as to exchange viewpoints and to share our experiences and our own expertise and experience under women's leadership during the COVID-19 crisis. And I'm delighted to take part and communicate with women in leadership positions, dear friends and colleagues. Now, as you are well aware, for more than a year now, we're in a war against the COVID-19 pandemic. Like past wars have taught us that when men are on the front and women are keeping things going behind the scenes. And in the past, then women have resumed their roles, but they've lost social status and they're disadvantaged compared to men. Today, this war is of different ilk. Men and women are involved on an equal footing in this war. And this crisis, this different singular crisis, will lead to a different social order, and where we need to create more social justice for women. Now, the municipality of Tunis is, throughout the crisis and up till now, the number of elected women who've been mobilized there's a far greater number of women wanted to be elected MPs and parliamentarians, and the number of women in listening units put into place by the municipality of Tunis to listen to the needs and cares of citizens of the city during this crisis period. There are many more women involved than men, many more. We've also put into place a local policy based on 3 major strands: heightening awareness of elected representatives so that they increase their influence in various districts, beefing up the capacity and capability of town services, and providing daily support in public area to control, advise, and direct. Now, this has impacted upon the lives of this crisis, impacting on the lives of many people in Tunis. So we've got major challenges. With our various operations, we've got hand washing systems, alcoholic gel distribution systems, disinfectant, special alcoholic tissue wipes, and we're trying to promote social distancing. And during the lockdowns, we try and ensure that the municipal council retain the absolute principle of providing education, heightening awareness, that's about hygiene and supporting poor people and people who are disenfranchised and or poor. We've put into place a special free green number, which is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where citizens can ring up, and so we can react quickly to their needs. Now, this pandemic has prompted us to further strengthen our partnership relationships with civil society, the private sector, and various national institutions. It's enabled us to beef up cooperation with our international partners and to stand up to the plate when addressing people's needs and furnishing our expertise or just plain help. The crisis has taught us that the enormous disparity existing between various cities and has prompted us to reflect about the need to engage in better urban development, rescale our urban development. We're convinced today of the need of increasing the number of green areas and in our towns, and we're in the process of working with competent partners to encourage mobility so as to complement public transport with bicycle routes and roadways in towns. So this pandemic has convinced us the need to speed up the digitalization process today, and working from home is becoming more and more a solution. Municipal staff have to be capable of being able to do their work on a remote basis, and the citizens should be able to receive the best civil services, municipal service on a remote basis. So we need to have a smart city, but we need to provide framework services to young people and children, and cultural services on a remote basis, and to provide appropriate level health and safety on a remote basis. We also have to put into place various strategies to assist the poorer, more vulnerable people in society to ensure they're fully incorporated into our town society. So with this in mind, we're working with our international and local partners to lay down the foundations for Tunis, a resilient city, the city of the future, with flagship projects which we're implementing with the French-speaking world. And these projects will enable us to optimize the wealth of our city in all its formats, to change our daily reality from an economic and social viewpoints in an efficient manner. And this via a participative approach, as Madame Emilia said at the very beginning, and in cooperation with chief executives and startup entrepreneurs, and with appropriate partnerships so as to innovate and move forward. Our approach is always very tangible, practical, and impinge upon the daily lives of our citizens. Our citizens know that there won't be major promises or noble speeches, but we wish to act with them. We wish to act and wish to interact with them in real time in the field.
Thank you, Mayor.
We're learning the lessons of this crisis so as to cohabit together throughout in our city, in all its diversity. And we require determination, we require courage, but we also need our partners to sure that Tunis is part of the Save City program, and I'm convinced that it will furnish interesting and worthwhile partnership opportunities. So thank you very much for your kind attention. I'd like to draw your attention to the number of women who are sort of aggressed by men, who are attacked or by men, is very high during the pandemic. Despite the presence of the city, despite our commitment, that the number of women under pressure from men is very high indeed, despite all our help. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Always very hard to interrupt you, and also not sure if you could hear me. Very important points, and emphasizing the issue of violence that has so drastically increased during the pandemic is extremely relevant. I'm very happy to say that we have with us the Minister of Women, Family and Children and Mayor of Odienne in Côte d'Ivoire, Naseneva Touré. Welcome. The floor is yours. So good to see you, Mayor.
Yes, I'm very pleased to be able to be with you this evening. Unfortunately, the link is very, very bad, and we can hardly make out what the mayor is saying.
Mayor, we are not hearing you. Moi, j'entends rien. Est-ce que vous entendez? Je sais pas, je suis pas sûre.
There is no interpretation because the sound quality is too poor for us to interpret. We can hear, but the sound quality is too poor, sadly.
Oui, on a un problème de connexion. We have a problem with the connection, so we were not able to hear. Let us try now. Or could I at least hear the original language? Let us do one thing. We can go to, let us try and solve the issues, the technical issues of the videos now. We have two videos that we would like to share with you, two video messages from Sushila Misrabata, Deputy Mayor of Dangati Sub-Metropolitan City in Nepal, and from Ekrem İmamoğlu, Mayor of Istanbul, Turkey. Two very important messages that we would like to share with you. Let us go there and let us try to connect later with the Minister.
नमस्कार, म सुशीला मिश्र भट्ट, धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिकाको नगर उपप्रमुख। नेपालको सुदूरपश्चिम प्रदेशमा रहेको यो धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिका अरु जिल्लाको दाँजोमा जनसङ्ख्या पनि बढी नै छ र यसै नगरीमा लामो समयदेखि लैङ्गिक समानताका बहसहरू पनि चल्दै आएका थिए र अहिलेसम्म पनि त्यो सम्बन्धमा सारभूत लैङ्गिक समानता प्राप्त गर्न सकेको अवस्था छैन। देशमा संघीयता लागू भइसकेपछि तीनवटै तहको निर्वाचन पनि भयो र स्थानीय तहमा जनप्रतिनिधिहरू निर्वाचित भएर आए। त्यसै सन्दर्भमा धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिकामा हामी पनि निर्वाचित भयौं र यस नगरीमा लैङ्गिक समानता ल्याउनको लागि विभिन्न किसिमका विषयहरूमा बहस गर्नुपर्छ, पैरवी गर्नुपर्छ भनेर हामी लागि पनि राख्यौं र थुप्रो विषयहरूमा सचेतनाका कार्यक्रमहरू पनि अगाडि बढायौं, प्रशिक्षणहरू पनि गर्यौं। तर हेर्दाखेरि अहिलेसम्म हामीले प्राप्त गर्न सकेको अवस्था छैन। त्यसैले अब धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिका रणनैतिक रूपले अगाडि बढ्न खोजिराखेको छ ताकि लैङ्गिक समानता हामीले लक्ष्य गरे बमोजिमको हामी प्राप्त गर्न सकौं। अहिलेसम्म पनि कतिपय महिला, बालिका तथा किशोरी र यौनिक लैङ्गिक अल्पसंख्यक व्यक्तिहरू हिंसा र विभेद खेप्दै पनि आएका छन् र अझै यो कोभिडको महामारी यो हिंसा बढाउनमा प्रोत्साहन पनि दिने गरेको देखेका छौं हामीले र त्यसैले कोभिडको बेलामा धेरै महिलाहरू हिंसामा परेका छन्, धेरै महिलाहरूले आत्महत्या पनि गरेका छन्। लैङ्गिक विभेद र लैङ्गिक हिंसा अन्त्य गर्नको लागि धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिकाले आउँदो वर्षमा लागू हुने गरेर रणनैतिक रूपले नीतिगत निर्णय पनि गरेको छ। संरक्षण गर्ने किसिमको नीति हामीले ल्याएका छौं। त्यसै गरेर महिलाको न्यायमा पहुँच बढाउनु पर्छ भनेर त्यो सम्बन्धी नीति ल्याएका छौं। महिलालाई आय आर्जनमा जोड्ने नीतिहरू ल्याएका छौं भनेपछि विभिन्न किसिमका सचेतनाका कार्यक्रमहरूलाई निरन्तरता दिने, महिलाहरूको सवालमा पैरवी गर्ने जस्ता कार्यक्रमहरूमा निरन्तरता दिने कार्यक्रम रहेको छ। धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिकाले लैङ्गिक हिंसामा परेका महिलाहरूको लागि एउटा प्रतिबद्धता समेत गरेको छ। उनीहरूलाई सुरक्षा दिनको लागि सुरक्षित आवास गृहको निर्माण गर्ने, सञ्चालन गर्ने र त्यसलाई प्रभावकारी ढंगबाट अनुगमन गर्ने ताकि यसलाई हामीले दिगो रूपमा सुरक्षित पनि गर्न सकौं। लैङ्गिक हिंसा निवारण कोषको स्थापना गर्ने र त्यसलाई सञ्चालन गर्ने कुरामा धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिकाले निर्णय पनि गरेको छ। त्यति मात्रै होइन, नगरमा रहेका विभिन्न टोलहरूमा निगरानी समूहहरू गठन गरेर उनीहरूलाई धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिका भित्र रहेको न्यायिक समितिसँग जोडेर महिलाहरूको न्यायमा पहुँच बढाउने कुरालाई पनि हामीले अगाडि बढाएका छौं। यसको अतिरिक्त मनोपरामर्श सेवाहरू धनगढी उपमहानगरपालिकाले दिँदै पनि आएको थियो र यसलाई निरन्तरता गर्नेछौं। विभिन्न किसिमका रेडियो कार्यक्रमहरू, रेडियो जिंगलहरू, त्यसै गरेर सन्देशमूलक होर्डिङ बोर्डको बाट पनि हामीले महिला हिंसालाई न्यूनीकरण गर्नको लागि अभियान नै चाल्न थालेका छौं। समाजमा पुस्तौंदेखि हस्तान्तरण हुँदै आएका मूल्य मान्यताको कारणले गर्दाखेरि व्यक्तिको एक किसिमको मानसिकता बनिसकेको हुन्छ र त्यो सोचलाई, त्यो मानसिकतालाई परिवर्तन गर्न अत्यन्त कठिनाई पनि परेको हामीले महसुस गरेका छौं र धेरै यसमा लागि पर्दाखेरि पनि सारभूत लैङ्गिक समानता प्राप्त नगर्न सकेको हामीले महसुस गरिसकेका छौं र एउटा आशा के गरेका छौं भनेदेखि यो अभियानमा निरन्तर नगर लागिराखेको खण्डमा र एउटा प्रतिबद्ध भएर हामीले दिगो नीतिहरू बनाएर दिगो कार्यक्रमहरू लागू गर्न सक्यौं भनेपछि आउँदो पुस्तामा अवश्य पनि लैङ्गिक समानतालाई हामी प्राप्त गर्न सक्नेछौं भन्ने कुरामा आशावादी छौं। अभियान कठिन छ तर असम्भव छैन।
First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the team of United Nations Women and all stakeholders for making this groundbreaking initiative happen. Today is a historical day for both Istanbul and Turkey because today Turkish government's decision to withdraw from the Istanbul Convention will be legalized. Therefore, I would like to introduce the strong commitment for a gender-equal Istanbul, which was generated at the dawn of this decision. IMM's local approach to fight against gender-based violence focuses on creating gender equality, and all available tools are activated in a holistic approach. As a good example, IMM recently launched the 24/7 multilingual women support hotline and women consultancy unit. It will continue with other accessible tools such as community houses, family consultancy and training centers, 24/7 violence, harassment and rape crisis center and temporary shelters. IMM supports women's employment via regional employment offices and entrepreneurship support, providing training and mentoring for both
Orange vous informe que le
paid
numéro
and
demandé n'est
unpaid
pas attribué.
caregivers.
Bonjour.
With
Orange vous informe
reference
que le
to
numéro
the
demandé n'est
chain
pas
of
attribué.
questions I have just mentioned, we will ensure accessible, inclusive, and multilingual vocational services for both disabled and immigrant women and girls. For the former, IMM has a stronger instrument to intervene in nurseries. These nurseries will be an employment space for 3,000 women directly and support 15,000 mothers employment in a year
Orange vous
until
informe que le numéro demandé n'est
2024.
pas attribué.
Istanbul's local equality action plan is our local commitment, and now it is riveted with this global one. There is no way out except full equality for all, and Istanbul is already dedicated to take the leadership for every woman.
Well, you will agree with me, dear colleagues and friends, all of you watching this session, that these were very, very relevant messages. I mean, the message of justice, you cannot empower women if they don't feel they can be holding their government accountable and have true access to justice. A very strong message from Nepal, and a very important message from our member, the city of Istanbul, the mayor of Istanbul, with this commitment to the Istanbul Declaration. No matter what national governments decide, cities need to take care of the communities, and the Istanbul Declaration is more relevant than ever before. Let us see whether we can now get the minister from Côte d'Ivoire back, and Mayor of Odienne. Are you with us? It's difficult because I don't see the speakers in this platform, so I don't know who is actually with me or not. Yeah, she's here.
Good evening, Cecilia. Good evening to everyone. I'm Nesseba Touré, Mayor of Odienne in Côte d'Ivoire. I've been mayor since 2014. My commune covers a population of just over 5 million individuals, and we're on the northwest coast of Côte d'Ivoire. I just wanted to talk to you today about the situation that we have gone through in the country after or during the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't want to go through the list of the financial assistance that we have been given from the government of Côte d'Ivoire for the health service, but I just wanted to also say that we were very fortunate that we were not one of the cities that had a lot of deaths from COVID. Only a quarter of those who were infected actually died because of the COVID, and the others actually did manage to recover. So there has been a worse situation in other towns, so in other cities. So we've had a huge addition in expenditure for health services during the COVID-19 pandemic. We have introduced prevention measures. We have vaccinated 240. We've actually provided masks for the country. We've got 26 million inhabitants in the country, but we were able to actually provide masks. And 80 million masks were actually distributed freely to the population and also to the health care workers. And that's since the end of December 2019. We also had a socio-economic and humanitarian support program, which amounted to some 17 billion francs, Cote d'Ivoire francs. And of course, we're not. It wasn't easy for us to reach the informal sector. There was a real problem there. So COVID-19 has really weakened the entire country, but particularly impacted more on women and children at an economic level, for example, because they were the majority of the small and medium-sized companies, or the informal economy is actually the area where women would be employed. So they're the ones, and they also are the ones who actually are the motor for development. They provide most of the markets in the country, and they have really suffered during the pandemic, where the markets had to be closed down, and of course that has created a great problem.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Yeah, I saw that we were indicating that time was out. It's really good to see you again, and it's good to hear that the citizens have not been so affected by the pandemic. I know that you are a very experienced mayor and one of our champions in bringing the agenda of intermediary cities to the international arena. So it's really good to see you again. Let me go now, because I understand that we have the mayor of Charlotte, who has joined us. So I would like to invite her to take the floor and share with us how her leadership has been affected by COVID, and how she sees the commitments of the city of Charlotte going forward towards gender equality. After this presentation, we are going to start to wrap up. As you know, we are very, very late. We started late, so I invite all the other speakers to think of a strong idea that they would like to leave with us. Mayor of Charlotte, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I hope everyone is having a good day wherever you may be. I'd like to start off with Charlotte, like many cities across the globe, has been challenged by COVID. And we've had particularly the difficult challenges of working with over 900,000 people in our community, because they begin to suffer financially, personally, from the isolation of the pandemic. And we had to establish what we thought were going to be our guiding principles as we made this journey possible. The first thing that we agreed to is that we were going to support the science, that we would always be transparent to our community, and that we would really work hard to make sure that our government services would be provided. So today I want to focus on what we did in terms of our economy and especially our small businesses. You know, when we looked at what we were doing, all of us know that small businesses are fundamental to at least our city's economy. They hire the most people and they're the most vulnerable. So we really began to facilitate how do we get money into those small business hands, and how important it was, because once a small business fails, it's very, very difficult for them to recover. So we had the opportunity to provide gifts of money, that they had coaching and training that allowed them to develop continuity plans, buy supplies and equipment during the pandemic, and to have any tools that they might be able to avoid.
Mayor, can you hear me? Because I think we have the problem that the rest of the speakers here in the room can hear you, but actually the audience is not able to hear you. So I am afraid until that is solved, I am going to start giving the floor to the other speakers, and we will try to come back to you. Sorry, because I didn't realize that others, 'Could not hear. So we're trying to solve that.
That is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is correct. And I think that is cor Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really sorry that we can't work out the technology, but there will be another day and time that we will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience, and we are going now. So I'm going back to these three powerful mayors and women that I have with me, and I want Claudia. Let me start with you. What is one strong idea that you would like to leave in this Generation Equality Forum about the commitment of your city of Bogota for equality? What is next for you? And please, just 2 to 3 minutes.
Well, there are a number of priorities. First of all, I think there's the state health system, which has got to institutionalize things so that it's not just an initiative from the government and the first mayor of the city. I think we want to make sure this is part of the institutional system of our city. That's why we have a lot of opportunities. First is that we've got to ensure that this year, for example, we have the opportunity to introduce a new urban planning program for the next 5 years. So we wanted to institutionalize and institutionalize a new urban planning, which is actually going to focus on health issues, and we've also make sure that we are able to use urban planning to help women to introduce proper transport plans, such as a new metro and electric traffic and things like that. And then we also, I heard from Swat and Tunis that they are doing a lot of things they talked about the role of women in the past, in the First World and the Second World War. And of course, during the war, we saw that women were able to go out to work and they were able to take on the roles that women had in the past. And that when the women came back from the war, women were then relegated back to their domestic tasks. So that's what we heard from Tunis. And I think that this is one of the things that we've seen today, is that we are not going to allow that type of thing to happen again. We're not going to allow, after COVID-19, we're not going to allow us to be sent back, women to be sent back to these unpaid economic, unpaid care roles. So we want women to continue to fight, to be part of the follow-up system, or the follow-on to the COVID crisis. So we've got to be building up the social system in our city. So we can't simply allow them to be the carers and then actually be impoverished through that role. And then I think also in the future, one of the greatest challenges that Bogota is going to have in the next couple of months, one of our challenges is going to be not actually giving up the question of sustainable development, equality, the fight for climate, and overcoming the COVID-19 crisis. They're going to be our challenges in the medium, short, and long term.
Thank you very much. I've just been told that we have 5 minutes left in total, so we need to be fast. I cannot control the platform. The mayor of Tunis, some quick thoughts on essentials for you.
Well, chiefly, I'm going to speak very loudly and clearly to women, all women. I like to say, always be strong, always be present, always be useful. But for us, the future, even if we are the mothers of it, the future is with the municipality and with the mothers, the women who are mothers of the children of the citizens. Be strong, be inclusive, the challenge is increasing, but we're stepping up to the plate. We're working discreetly, and we're seeing that women are who work for the good of others, for the public interest. Given the socio-economic crisis underway and what we're going through with this pandemic, if we didn't have women, if we hadn't had women, we wouldn't have achieved the results that we're getting now.
Thank you so much. Be there, be present. Last message from the Mayor of Odien, Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My last word would be to commit ourselves to the campaign of the generation equality and to strengthen the mobilization of all the players around the vision of the President of the Republic and to build a more just, more equal society. And I believe that as the mayor, that women as mothers of children are essential. I reiterate my commitment. Let's ensure that women at the forefront, let's help women, particularly women in rural regions. Furthermore, let's remain strong as women. It is together as women that we can go further. We can attain our objectives, full equality between women and men, and for a better world and a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your messages. It is a matter of equality, but it's also a matter of justice, a matter of efficiency, and a matter of responsibility. We are convinced that women leadership can bring new light, new essentials, new care, and new policies. Your voices have been heard loud and clear in this generation equality high-level dialogues. I am so proud of you, my mentors, my champions. I am convinced that mayors like you, leaders like you will change our world. Thank you very much. And for all of you watching, thank you for your patience and apology for the technical problems we had. Thank you, Government of France, UN Women, United Cities and Local Governments is your ally. Thank you, mayors. Muchas gracias. Bye-bye.